it gets to the end of an awards evening like this, and there's been a lot of excitement and perhaps more alcohol. And sometimes awards like this get forgotten. So what I'm asking now is for you to postpone your mind drifting into the other area, into the bar, because this is something special. There has been a lot of talk tonight, a lot of talk, much of which companies at tables around here have propagated, about how sport is magic, how it does these special things. I mean, some of the campaigns we've seen would lead you to believe that the mere aroma of a football rolling over grass will make fat children thin. Some of the things that we see and talk about in sport give you the idea that the sound of a basketball going through a net somehow makes indolent children active, that the mere act of watching sport will make whole communities drop their anxieties, drop their angers, drop their animus, and hold hands in a come-by-our moment. Sometimes, because of how good you are at what you do, we fall into the trap of believing this, instead of believing the truth, which is there is magic in sport, but it's in the people. Sadly, we look around too often in sport and we are disappointed by those that we put up on pedestals and by those who put themselves up on pedestals. They let us down, sometimes with their behavior on the court or on the field, and sometimes, often, off the field of play as well. The reason that I think today is important, the reason that this award is important, is because the person who's receiving it embodies what we wish sports people would be. He's been everything in sport. He's been an athlete, a basketball player of sadly higher caliber than me. It's really disappointing. He's been an administrator. He's become the most powerful person within Paralympic sport. He's staunchly against the idea of disability as something that limits, and he's a person who's constantly set his own limits time and time and time again, broken them, exceeded them, and done better. For this reason, he deserves our utmost respect. When I look at his bio, and we're going to hear some more of that shortly, it's like a revelation. It's like the first time we can really look at one of our sporting heroes and call them that without the slightest bit of irony, without the slightest bit of concern that somehow in his past he's let us down some way, or somehow in the future he might. This man is truly, truly remarkable. I am the Vice President of the English Federation for Disability Sport. It has been my pleasure to be involved with sport for people with impairment for a long, long time, not as long as either of the other two speakers you're going to hear here. But I wanted to tell you why I got involved, because sometimes the rhetoric around this sport for people with impairment is all about how courageous they are, patronizing in its effort to be kind. It's about how these individuals fight against their disability. And instead, I got involved. My first event was a junior event in Blackpool. It was raining, of course. And I was younger, more stupid back then, and I'd been forced to go by a sponsor, and I walked up and I thought, this is going to be an hour of my time wasted. What do these people know about sport? And instead, I looked and I watched, and it was everything that I thought sport was supposed to be, everything that we told people sport was. You looked at the faces of the athletes and the way they competed, and it was identical to the way I competed. You looked at the people around, the support staff, the volunteers, the administrators, at the way they worked cohesively to help every single person succeed, and it was remarkable. It was exactly what we wish, we hope, that our young people would experience in all types of sport now. I want to introduce someone to tell you a little bit more about our honoree tonight, Mr. Tip Thiboutot. Again, another basketball player who's better than me. It's been difficult. He's told me like 3 or 4 times back there. But he's come all the way from Boston tonight. There you go. to tell you a little bit more about our honoree. If ever there was like a Steve Jobs one more thing moment, this is it. So please put your hands together for Mr. Tip Thiboutot.
Thank you, John Amaechi, the man and the basketball player.